what is that? Does that mean I'm saying we're right in?
And to Eric's point, permanent interest. The Dems need to say, look, y'all, no matter what Donald Trump is doing, has done, didn't do, is gonna get called out for, whatever, no matter what the Mueller investigation is gonna find, here's what we gotta do. At the end of the day, we got to do these 5 things right here for the country. That's what the Dems have not done yet. I believe, Jamel, that they could sort of sit on the sidelines and let him step on his own dick.
And say, here's what we stand for. When we get in office, this is what we're going to do. Here's why you vote for us, because this is what we believe in. This is what we're going to do.
What would you want them to say?
And still say,
like, what would be some of those things?
Well, I think one of the top, right off the top, there's a couple of
wages. Start with this, though.
Wages.
Okay, we're for immigration reform, and here's an idea for a plan. While we're at it, though, we're not signing legislation that includes that wall,
right?
Until you can tell us how Mexico's going to pay for it,
right? They need to state the thing. You actually use some of his platform, his campaigning stuff. Opposition to some of his campaign stuff. That's one of them right there. The wall. Where's the wall? And we ain't gonna pay for it. We ain't gonna vote for nothing. We're gonna support immigration, but we're not gonna support it with the.
We'll even support the wall, which we just ain't gonna pay for.
Right. But because
I don't think we even want to do that.
But it would leave him twisting in the wind.
Right. Exactly. We support the wall, but Mexico is gonna pay for it, like Donald Trump said.
Exactly.
That's how. So that's one. And then on wages, let's talk about wages for a second.
But I guess these are all things that at least I know that the Democrats are for.
Don't scare us,
right?
Good. Get them to yourself, man. Put your next things in there.
These are all things that, like, what you want to support? Income inequality. That's all Bernie's been talking about, right? Universal health care. Yeah. Income inequality. We want to reform immigration in a way that.
But Bernie's setting up, and those candidates, he indicated it was corporate. The gentleman that we just listened to. But Bernie is ending up being an unelectable national figure, in my opinion. And if we push candidates in the...
Why do you say that? I'm curious.
Because I just don't believe the great majority of the country is ready for, single pay. Many of the things that Bernie...
The numbers don't back that up, though.
Pardon me?
The numbers don't back that up on single pay. What we're getting is the media message behind that. The actual society.
The terminology is a problem. He used the term Medicare for all. They're for that.
Yeah, because we already got the mechanism in place. It's just expanding it.
Listen, I think the fixes are simple. For instance, as it relates to Social Security, just raise the wage base.
Yep.
Take the cap off.
There's more of a tax base there than you.
You only get taxed on the first 110,000.
Raise it to 150,000. You don't have to raise it to 150,000.
Take the cap off altogether. Everybody pays.
Yeah.
And you pay for it right away.
It's done.
Right?
And
Medicare for all works. All you got to do is lower the age from 65 to 0.
And then how would that affect the deficit? Because then we'd have additional monies to use for paying for it would take away the cost that ends up being part of why people don't pay taxes. Because they can't afford to pay the taxes because they're dealing with medical issues. You see what I'm saying? So there's 3 columns there. Take the lid off of Social Security. Boom. Now people who've been paying out of their pocket for things that they couldn't afford because the medical wasn't right, now have that money. So now that money can go.
I guess that's where it goes back to the corporation things the guy was saying, because they probably won't really do this. Like, they have too much pharmaceutical money, too much.
Take the money out of politics, and you got that problem going
to keep the status quo.
Get the lobbyists out that are pushing to make sure those pharmaceutical companies stay in, keep everybody's lives fucked up.
So I think the place where, for instance, that we could have impact is to get involved with election committees all around the country, invade them, and push to get the laws changed so that everybody votes, so that the debates, there's a certain number, and they're mandated by candidates.
Jerry rigging, voting. Jerry rigging puts the commerce back into politics where you literally...
You mean gerrymandering?
Gerrymandering, where you literally have to compete for the public's vote. The politician, it redefines their job description to actually look out for public good. I had not looked at the issue taking the cap off, which really speaks to, as much as anything, like the conversation. you'd have to go through the numbers and logically think about that without having a sort of an emotional reaction, being one sided or the other.
Right.
And I hadn't even run the numbers on that.
Eric says it this way, and I 1,000% agree. That is one of the simplest business cases to make. Make the business case as to why that needs to happen now. And if it did, see, Democratic voters would have to get behind that, because just economically, Democratic voters are the ones that at least are greatly affected by Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Just the numbers don't lie on that front. So if we were able to take that as a policy position or a campaign issue that would become a policy position, I think a lot of people.
So this is what would happen. The right would characterize it as a tax increase. And historically, the left has allowed that to happen without a robust response.
Because they didn't have the numbers put together, they didn't have a business case in place.
Right.
And if they did that, to Eric's point, he's made,
and they're right, by the way. They are raising taxes, but they're raising taxes on people who have incomes above 110,000.
And then
by 2%.
And then make the case when it's, and this is coming back to what we said earlier about what Democrats suck at doing, which is marketing the message better. So then I think it's a Ross Perot moment. You just do the chart. I mean, that's the smartest thing that dude did, was he put those charts on that easel. Do the charts. It's that simple. Say, look, y'all, here's what it's gonna do.
And he moved the needle, but he didn't determine the day. Trump has introduced something. Again, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. I did not think was possible in the United States with the access to information. Trump is running a propaganda program. It literally, where he will say something, multiple facts that are not true, in the same way they're in.
He lies.
But I'm saying,
did you think that the population was smarter than to be hoodwinked on that?
Absolutely. And I did not believe, I believe that there was too much information available to refute an obvious lie.
Well, see, this is where it comes
for the intellectually lazy.
Yeah, when the people
it's never enough.
This is when it became a global issue. Let me tell you.
See, that's really the point I was trying to make. He is adapting, to me, a strategy that appears to be global from the standpoint of the propaganda. Make immigration the galvanizing issue to essentially disrupt all internal relations.
I simplify this every day. Just in the last 6 or 8 months, I've really simplified my thinking. As crazy as my brain can get. Donald Trump tapped in to the component racially and gender and nationally that a lot of people didn't expect him to. And that is using some of the technologies that are out there and some influences playbook-wise from foreign leaders that did not want to see any further non-white men in lead positions. And I'm committed to this. They use that to say, we can get a lot of white men, not just in the United States.
You think Trump said this?
I think that this is how they created what you just said a moment ago, how he tapped into that. Whether it was Trump or his people, it happened. So you got to go back and say, when you do the autopsy, and go, well, how did they get there? Because the ground was fertile already.
Okay, I reject
that he's smart enough to have thought that.
Yeah, I reject.
Okay, all right.
Let me say this. I think that he may have people around him who are smart enough to tap into that.
Yeah,
but I think he's just a straight imbecile, as evidenced by the text of his speeches.
Yeah,
he can't put no words together.
He's diabolical.
His most descriptive word of something good is beautiful. That's all he has in his vernacular.
Yeah. And in this great, it's beautiful. Look, he's not brilliant in that sense.
He's an imbecile.
He's diabolical.
In the same way my dog is.
No. You'd be better to think of him as a savant or something like that, because you cannot disagree with his ability to. This birther thing was the basis. You were saying he wasn't insightful, but he was calling on that when. That was just straight out racism.
That's why I'm saying.
But it tapped into something that was growing.
Let me tell you what Donald. It hit me when I watched him speak in Arizona with that crazy ass ex-sheriff.
Oh, I know you, Ohio.
That's when it hit me that Donald Trump, to Eric's point, he is not smart, genius, all that stuff, or creative enough or crafty enough to come up with this shit. What he is,
opportunity.
He is, yes. he has the ability to feel what's going to work. And here's a case in point. He goes back to doing something every time he gets in trouble. And what is that? He goes back into he goes back into that's a part of it.
Yeah.
He goes back into campaign mode. Why is that? Because it's performance.
Exactly.
And he feeds off of that. And as stupid as he is, he's smart enough, feeling wise, to feed off of that so that it makes it look like he's doing something.
All he's doing
good.
is gathering a room full of idiots who are going to believe anything he says.
Right, but he knows that there are a room full of idiots like him that will buy into the hype. That's all he's been able to do. Because if a person's going to be genuinely honest, irrespective of their tribe, politically, what policies has he actually
They're non-existent.
crafted and put
They're
through?
non-existent. His only motivation is not to appear as if he's lost.
And to protect the sanctity of what he believes is his business acumen, which is nothing. He will not. That's the reason he's not.
That's why he won't show his
tax
taxes,
returns,
because you find him to be a mundane guy who
no,
has a little bit of money.
you're gonna find out
He
that
probably
he's
ain't
a
as rich as he say he is.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody has ever seen any proof that he's as rich as he is.
No.
I don't think.
And
Well,
whenever
you're gonna
there's,
find
whenever
out
you
that money
from
from
Forbes,
paying
from all the way
somebody-
back, they've always indicated he's overstated. So I agree his hands are not as big as he say they are. That's a given. That is an absolute given. I'm saying strategically, he can read a room. He's enough of a performer to know what line works. He says that works for me.
It doesn't take
that
a
works for
genius
me.
to Eric's
And
point.
it's only
Then
in that
he'll throw it
environment.
out, and then once he see the reaction, he gets more than that.
Playing on it.
He gets
Exactly.
more into that.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
never gotten
Look.
above that 30%. And that's not a mentality, obviously, that you can have that you want to get reelected. I think what he wants to do is come through here, not get impeached, and lose with some dignity and not get found out. I really believe, watching the moves that he's making, from the destruction of NATO to the
Telling you he doesn't
terrorists,
want
he is under some obligation, in my opinion, to the Russians, and he's paying off.
Oh yeah, there's a PP tape.
There's definitely a
PP
big
tape.
I don't even
There's
think
more
that
than
would
that.
embarrass him. I think it has to do with his money.
It's his money.
They
Thank
have
you.
some. They have.
They got something
They have
on his
access.
money.
They have access to him
He
continuing
could-
to be a rich man.
Guys,
There's a
he's
guy.
all
There's a
definitely-
professor in the Northeast. His name's going to come to me. He wrote a book called On Bullshit. It's a scientific study on a bullshitter. And the thing that struck me about what he wrote is, look it up. It's going to be interesting. If you see videos of this guy talking, it's interesting. I'm trying to get him on the show. He said that there's people who lie, and then there's people who bullshit. People who lie know the truth and tell a lie. Bullshitters tell the truth and the lie, whatever suits them in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's who he is.
Yeah. Donald Trump is not afraid of the sexual part. All that shit. He doesn't
Right.
care. He doesn't care.
Because he has no pride.
He does, that's not even an issue. What it is, and I said this months now, Donald Trump is purely concerned about him being, he's always giving everybody, look, didn't nobody say I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump because he's out there getting pussy, right? They said, I'm voting for him because he's a businessman, he's been successful, and that's what all the white boys ran out for, and some brothers too, and a whole bunch of white women. That was the thing, and he does not want to get caught with
it was all
smoke and mirrors, and I've been funded by Russia and China.
But
that's what he doesn't want to get caught for.
Thinking people at this point.
Thinking people. I did preface it. My greatest strength is that I'm a negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
But what is he negotiating?
Not
in every negotiation, and if Korea's any.
Meanwhile, he's grifting.
If Korea's any evidence, he's
the worst.
He's been taken.
By
single-handedly
someone that could be the age of his son.
Thank you.
Single-handedly
with the world experience of a month.
Jamel, I'm sorry. Jamel could, no disrespect, youngest cat in the room, you could have rolled in that meeting and got more shit for the country than
I'm telling, but I'm amazed at that. And then the blue collar, brother, all the folk he ain't paid, all the contractors he left.
Stiff people.
How could you? That's what I mean by self-delusion. They were simply left with. They felt as if there was no one else out there who was even.
Look, they come on, y'all.
I gotta believe that.
But
man.
they
I gotta
wanted a
believe that.
white boy in charge. They wanted a white boy in
I
charge.
absolutely agree. I absolutely know
and he
there's
just
a
happened to
intuitive,
be.
but they had a number of white. boy options prior to him, but he was the
And
one
they wanted that
carried,
guy.
that carried and galvanized the day.
He's the
And he was pissed
he
off.
And they had some
that's
great
all that,
options.
that's all that
They-
they
They
cared
had some
about.
great
Yeah,
options.
he was pissed off.
He was pissed
They wanted
off, and
somebody
they
pissed
wanted
off.
somebody.
they wanted
who
somebody
would
to be pissed off.
go
That
be
was
pissed off.
that was
All these
they
people
were
are just
too weak.
angry.
They were too weak
Right,
themselves
right,
to come
exactly.
out and say I'm pissed off.
Right,
I could be wrong, but I don't like
Right.
niggas. I don't
Right.
like Mexicans.
right.
But I'm too scared. To
So
come out
he
and say it.
embodies that,
He
and
is-
so that's why.
and he covered it by saying, and I'm the big bad white boy in the room that can go kick some shit around.
Yep.
Women too. Everybody in my way. I'm a wrecking ball. I alone can do it. And that's what these white boys wanted. Because their
Single-
manhoods. There was a book, an
Yes.
article
Oh, yeah,
written
yeah.
about
Uh-huh.
how the reason that so many white men have voted for Donald Trump and this Trumpism, and why numbers of white women followed it, is because they're living 100 years ago in that white male dominance. And white women who followed that because that's all they had. And they found that person to step through the cloud. Why do you think he said about every candidate on the stage? Low energy, they're weak, they're not a tough guy. I'm the one. Because that's what these white boys had lost. And the blame was diversity, color, gender,
And he made it that.
Otherism.
otherism. That's all it is. It's and then to your point though, the cover of the business. That's why he don't give a shit about the sex stuff. He don't care about that. He's concerned about people finding out that he's a financial fucking fraud.
And that when have you seen anyone come to the White House so obsessed by their own personal interest that they didn't divest it? And literally the country is sitting
You know
there
why they
allowing
And
No,
allowing
they
it.
didn't.
allowing it.
He can't divest because he doesn't own the shit. That's the reason why.
And-
Nobody going down that road.
And in my opinion, at the end of the day, that money is more important to him than
Well, he was never supposed to win. If you read what's the book, the big juicy book that came out, everyone was reading about the first 100 days of the Trump White House.
Oh, with the reporter that was
With
embedded
the
in there.
report, yeah. So I read it. This was all a show. He was
Oh,
never.
I think we knew that.
Everyone, yeah, but everyone in that whole camp gained something if he lost, including himself. Like they were going to be international celebrities. They were going to upgrade.
It would have done the same thing to him that show Celebrity did.
Exactly. So it was
Well, he
all
could have
supposed.
played the little bitchy martyr.
Yeah, he would have been
And-
a martyr.
and
It was
allowed-
all a sham.
Yeah.
It was the
He would have been
election
in the news
was
every day.
yeah, it was a shame.
anyhow.
And he would have started Trump TV. Who knows? Like he
When
Yeah,
he said that he would not accept the results of the election because he thought they were rigged, I knew then that this man was not a leader, had no regard for this man. He was literally going to set up civil war because he
Because
didn't
it's
win.
ego.
Which he's done.
Because his
anyhow.
ego.
because his ego, and he would have ruined a Clinton presidency probably just from the outside. But he would have been better in a better position. He would never ran again. But like maybe he had the Trump
And
party.
let
Who knows?
me share something. This boy Mueller, he the real deal. Mueller is going to uncover what is going on.
Probably already has.
And I'm telling you,
I'd say the linchpin in all this, and we all know, we all hear it every day, is the Superman Michael Cohen.
you think so?
Yeah,
Cohen?
it is.
Oh yeah,
It is.
I think
and,
so too.
and the reason for that
Because he knows
is
where the bodies are buried.
that, but more important than knowing where the bodies are buried, Michael Cohen is not the player that he tried to let everybody think he was. He's not the stone cold killer that he tried to pretend. He had Donald behind him when he was out
Donald
there.
won't even fire anybody. So there are no killers in that camp.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
so that's, I think, the real piece of this is the information that they have with Cohen, not Manafort and all the rest. It's Cohen. Cohen is the linchpin in this. You pull that pin and everything's gonna fall apart. And
The reason I
Mueller's
think
waiting-
Manafort might be interesting because he coincided specifically
Yeah.
with the Russian interest,
True.
which is, and here's the, when they changed that plank,
yeah.
Yep,
in
and the
the
policy. Yeah, in the
when
RNC.
they changed that plank,
And it came out and said, we don't know why they did it. We don't
Where
know
it
why it
came
happened.
from.
We're-
to me, Mueller knows that. So it's at that point he's starting to go back and, well, who said that?
Well, what can he do then?
No, my brother. When this
Well, that's
Okay,
what they're
Mueller
setting
do?
up. And that's what I don't know. Because what one of the biggest things that we haven't said about this, what I think is, genius, but has been done before, is he's making people not believe the citizen frame. And
Yeah.
but the media in
That's what I mean by
general,
propaganda.
like he's making
Has that
don't
ever-
believe anybody but me.
Has there ever been a time in our country where that was true?
The closest that we've ever had would have been Nixon, and even Nixon wasn't stupid enough to go after the media like he has.
The media has changed. We only had
With-
back in
with-
Nixon time. We only had a few
with
channels.
3 channels.
Right.
No,
And
So it was
wasn't-
like now you
And-
have this so diverse places where you can, and you have this echo chamber where you
And
can
you-
get what
exactly,
you want. You hear what you want to
If
hear.
Mueller knows all this stuff, what can he do?
Mueller can, in my opinion, put together a report that will lead to his
very delicate.
that will lead to his impeachment
By who?
by the House of
You
Representatives.
mean
that,
this House of Representatives?
no, the one that we
that's-
will acquire in the
That's
midterm.
why
You think they'll do it too?
Well, let's
Not
take,
even.
let,
I think he'll get impeached. It's really about what's going to happen in the Senate.
take away.
That's what you. That's where the fight really happens.
I don't think that even Democrats have the will to do that.
And then
I
like,
think that they would want to have him ride it out
Yeah.
and run against him in 2020.
and then
The more I
It
think of
depends upon if something comes out that
Depends
proves
on what's
that
in the
there was
information,
active participation with him colluding with.
That's what
Russia.
they want to run against in
they want to
2020.
run against a weaker candidate.
I understand.
Is that what you mean?
But I'm making the observation he won't survive that because his finances are going to come out. Because it's somehow going to work in the same way as Manafort's. Somehow his finances, because a bunch of his money comes from Russians coming over there buying some apartments that happen to be flipping. That's the way I believe they paid him through those property deals. That's going to become discoverable because the issue is what is your relationship and what is their leverage. I think when America finds that the president of the United States is not acting in their best interest, they will not have him as
Yeah,
president.
I don't
but this
know.
is the
That's-
same man who was assaulting women and
Yeah.
said all sorts, many
I don't
sort of
know.
things, and they still elected him.
yeah,
I absolutely concur with you. On the day I heard Pussygate, I thought he was done. I didn't think there was any way. I never thought America could ever elect a man like this. But now that they have,
sequence of events though that happened, and I did too. I was like most of us, or many of us, and then I had the same empty feeling in my stomach on that Friday afternoon when Comey dropped the letter. I went, "That's gonna fuck up your life."
I still don't quite understand.
It shouldn't have been close. Comey's letter should have made a difference.
But you're right.
the media made
Yeah.
her email such a big ass deal.
I mean,
And
in the
Hillary
same-
should have got out in front of that.
And
stuff.
to say, yeah, she didn't do a good job herself.
And Bill killed it
Yeah,
when he sat on that
so
tarmac.
with
What was on his mind?
yeah.
How could you possibly?
yeah, but
How
guys,
could you
look,
possibly think?
there's-
Still though,
We
think
can
about
rewind.
her
Think about what
and
we're
who
talking
she was
about.
running
We're
against.
talking about email
She should
protocol
have been able
versus
to come
Pussygate.
overcome that.
yeah, but guys,
Absolutely.
but she had.
And she is
She
about
had
as
the
flawed a
lead.
candidate as you can have.
You know what? Look.
She spent most of the last
Oh,
4-6 months of her election talking about him during her talks.
Yeah,
She was marketing him in a negative way.
Which is the mistake they're trying not to make during these midterms.
and that's what that's the thing
That's
that I would agree with. They did learn a little bit of a lesson that still does not absolve them of standing for stuff.
I think so.
But I can't revisit the whole Hillary thing. Yeah, we could go all day long about what she did not do right, and I could do the same thing with other candidates that did not do certain things that they could have done and didn't win. We could do that all day long, Democrat and Republican. That's really not the issue now. The issue now is what are we going to do to when Mueller. This is what I think is going to happen. You asked this question earlier. I actually think that Robert Mueller has a compass, and his compass is this is wrong.
I concur.
I'm a bulldog with
You
this.
go find out.
I built a great team. You can throw pot shots at.
But what can he do though?
This is where I'm going. I think that Robert Mueller's strategy is he's going to wait until either we get to the midterms to drop whatever he has. Mueller can't.
So
No,
what?
I definitely. He's going to wait until after. He does not want to become another Comey. He does not want to interfere with the
That was
elections.
part.
And I'm saying, and I don't even see him making that sort of calculus, except that I want to play the FBI's role of not interfering with. So I think if he drops, he'll drop it on the other side. But I don't see him as a factor who's actively seeing himself as an agent to dislodge or support Trump. This boy is a Boy Scout in my opinion,
But to
who
that
happens
point,
to be facing a thief and a liar. And that thief and a liar will be shown to be a thief and a liar.
But what can he do though?
it doesn't matter.
He can deliver.
He doesn't have to do anything. That's what people misunderstand.
And
That's the point, though.
at the end of the day, you're right. It'll come down to voting and who's going to control Congress, and not even just Congress. I think if he drops something and it's there and it's a Democratic Congress in the House of Representatives, I think there's going to be impeachment proceedings. I don't see.
I bet you money they don't do that.
I don't see some of these real lefties coming into Congress and not writing articles of impeachment.
They came
I
on that way.
I don't see that. It's going to be the fire in Congress is going to be too.
Here's what's going to determine if they
hot.
Everything has been two with this dude the whole way along. Every time we thought it was too something.
But that's when you had Republicans in Congress who are in control, who are tagging at the hip with
to your point.
Now, when you have an opposition party who if Nancy Pelosi takes that gavel, she's gonna have too many people in her conference talking about, I'm writing up articles
I don't think she will.
or of impeachment.
I'm
writing them.
I don't think she will.
I think a lot of it would be depending on where she is.
I think it would be hard for her to tell them.
But it's going to
know.
be her.
And then that's what comes up to people talking about standing up.
And y'all know,
see people in front like, I want to do this.
Y'all know that here's the thing. Jamel said it well. He kind of lost it. It's who's going to be coming into the House on the Democratic side. They win. Let me
bunch of old ass people.
No. Let me say
shit over and over.
No. Hold on, E. Just hear this for a second. Yeah, we got some of that in there now, no doubt. You're right.
A lot of that.
But the folks that are coming in are not part of what's in now.
Yeah.
And it's my thinking to what could happen is that if Pelosi doesn't push for articles of impeachment,
they're going to try to take her out.
They're going to take her out.
It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be just like the Freedom Caucus
her control is tenuous at best because
she's had too many challenges.
The Democratic Party is in need of a new face.
Yeah,
and they simply don't want to push her aside.
But they don't see that they need a new face, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Eric, now.
I agree with you, but they don't see that.
They do.
It comes up all the time.
So why would they put Pelosi back in the chair?
Because
it's like being the quarterback who gets hurt. You can't lose your job. There's something about her.
It's a relay race.
Okay.
It's more like a relay race. This is how I see it. If the Dems get the House, I think the new blood that comes in, the old blood is there. You're right. The new blood that comes in is going to push her to structure articles of impeachment. If she does not, the new blood will say, "Okay, you ran the first leg of the race.
Ain't gonna do it
in the same way. In the same way that Tea Party disrupted the RNC.
Exactly.
Right. That's
a different brand of person, though.
Because right now the institution is built upon seniority, and you cannot come in and simply throw all the hundreds of years away. So she will hold on to the position more or less unless she does something stupid. But I'm making the observation that there is no political gain for them to not pursue what Mueller comes up with. Because if he exposes that, the country will be behind it. Pence is just as
there's a number of Republicans
easy a target.
But you do know that. So the midterms come, they take office.
Now we don't
and God
flip
forbid,
the house.
If
we don't flip the house, my entire theory goes out the window.
Mueller?
But not about Mueller, about the nation, its conscience,
but you do realize by the time the Dems take office, if they win this next midterm, they take office, they'll be in the middle of presidential election season.
Okay.
And so nobody's going to make this shit during election season. They're not going to do that.
You probably got, once they really take office, you got about 3-4 months before it really gets.
They won't get around to it.
Yeah,
they'll be too busy trying to unwind all of his executive orders and all that stuff. They won't even get around to it.
I just believe that you cannot expose from a credible source that this guy is involved with a foreign government to try to undermine our process, and that the Republicans, after he loses the midterms, they have no reason to kowtow to it.
That's why them folks are retiring.
That's exactly.
But that's the other reason why
they don't want to be there and have to be responsible for doing something.
Well, that's the
Dems ain't gonna do nothing.
That's your counter, though. That's why there's a little bit. I mean, what you're saying is right. But the little bit of counter to that is that's why some of these Republican House members are leaving, because they know more than we know. And they also know that the Dems are playing a little bit of possum right now. Because if the numbers bear out, they don't want to be around for the carnage, which will be not just the flipping of the House and the potential articles of impeachment, but it's going to be the momentum that comes from the House being flipped.
Then they're going to lose it back again in 2020.
We don't know that.
And we don't know. Yeah,
I don't
Well,
know.
because the right is going to build a campaign around the fact that you have partisan Congress throughout the beloved president.
That
If they do that.
dedicated 30% is going to be out there one way or the other,
Totally.
Yeah,
and
that's nothing about
it
it.
really comes down to what the rest of the country
That's
will
going
do.
to
As
come down.
it is Donald
And that's
Trump
when it
is the
comes-
Rorschach test for this nation and its soul. As they deal with this guy, you'll see whether we're a great country.
And
comes
the
down to
other
the-
component we aren't talking about. There's two other pieces of this that are going to be able to. Yeah.
Where you
Is
going, man?
if the Senate does. If the
You rushing
Senate
off
flips,
too, man?
Got to go, brother.
If the Senate flips,
As I told him in college, out.
out. And how many government
pleasure,
mansions
sir.
flip?
Absolutely, man. Too.
Good to see you again.
What business are you? I know we met. What,
Same thing.
you in the insurance business, man? Oh man, hold it. I know the good guy's gonna win now.
See?
Invite me back some more, man. It's been
You
too
always
long.
welcome, man. Do like you did. Just tell me when you want to come.
Consider it done, man. I know it's on me.
But you
But
got
I
rush
have
out
to
of here.
say that the show has grown leaps and bounds, man. I'm serious. I'm not being facetious. Great job, baby boy. Appreciate the invite, man. Thank you.
I think
Doing pretty good nowadays.
Catch up, man.
He benefit from a conversation with you.
I'll take that.
All
to
right.
heart.
Look forward to it.
Okay.
Take care of man.
All right,
I'm gonna
man.
take care.
Be well.
All right, we got to bounce, y'all.
Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Well,
You think you can do something with this, man?
yeah, I think we can do some stuff.